So, is Formula One a sport or a show? Well, you've been sold it as being a sport. It is broadcast on Sky Sports. It is reported about in the sports section of the media, not the showbiz section. And it's marketed as a sport. So when you pay your money, you are paying to watch a sport. You are investing your emotion, your energy. You are investing your money in the sport because you're buying tickets to a sport. You're buying sporting merchandise relating to that sport. If you bet, you are placing a bet on that sport. If you're buying a sports TV package so that you can watch that sport, that's what you're doing. It's sport. As such, sport needs to be conducted in accordance with rules of a sport because sport has rules. Think of every sport that you follow and every sport that you either play, enjoy, whatever it is, you know what that sport consists of. When you're watching it, the commentators of that sport are able to guide you and tell you what is going to happen, where we're at in the course of the event, what's happening in play, and what are the outcomes, what's likely to happen based on what it is we are seeing. However, in the show of Formula One, they don't know that. In the show of Formula One, apparently anything can happen. So let me use this as an example.
Come the first race.
Oh no! Nicholas Latifi has crashed.
Oh no! Nicholas Latifi has crashed. Shit! Anything can happen. What are we going to see now? Crazy! Nobody knows. Or is it that we do know? Let me explain to you what I know. We are watching a Grand Prix, one of the Grand Prix of the season, which is what the event is, what the whole championship is contested over, a series of Grand Prix. If a car crashes during one of those Grand Prix, then you have to prioritize safety. So you have to deal with this incident where there is a obstruction on the track causing a huge risk to safety. So this particular incident, the way that the race director would deal with this incident is by deploying the safety car. Now what will happen is they'll deploy the safety car, that will go out onto track, it will collect up all of the competitors, they will all bunch up behind it, slowing everybody down, creating a window of opportunity for the marshals to go on track, a crane to get on track, lift that car out of the way, sweep up all the debris, make sure that that crash barrier is not damaged and capable of withstanding a similar impact if another car went into there. And then once that's all been declared safe and all the checks have been done, you can then begin the procedures ready to resume racing. Now, if none of the cars in that race had been lapped, the procedure is that all of those remaining competitors need to be bunched up behind each other, one behind the other, in the correct race order, and then you can start racing again. Okay, that safety car has to remain on track until at least that condition has been satisfied. That's stated in the regulations. What that does, it nullifies all the advantages that had been built up until that moment in time. So when a safety incident interferes with a race, it neutralizes the race, it nullifies all advantages that have been built up, and effectively the only way you can restart that race is if those restart conditions apply to all competitors in that race. All advantages are wiped out, and it's effectively like starting the race from scratch again. The difference is when cars have been lapped is you have to carry out some procedures to achieve that condition. And those procedures are that you release the lapped cars from that pack and you give them at least one lap of that safety car with which to try to allow them to catch the back of the pack so that that condition is achieved. That's stated in the regulations. That's the purpose of those regulations. It's because sometimes this is a sport where a safety concern ruins the race, and the only way that you can resume racing is to basically create the start condition from scratch again for everybody. That is what happens. Okay, quite simple, isn't it? And you can see what, and one of the reasons why is you can't allow a situation such as you're watching on screen, a car crashing, to skew the outcomes for different competitors, such as a car such as Max Verstappen being 12 seconds behind the leader, a car crashing and all of a sudden he's now right behind the leader. Yet in the same incident, a car such as Lando Norris, who was actually closer to Pierre Gasly than Verstappen was to Hamilton, to now be left 2/3 of a lap behind Gasly, who Norris was previously challenging. You can't allow these different skewed outcomes, so you have to create the same conditions for all competitors in the race, and that is why the regulations are what they are. Now, if you're just hearing this for the first time, why is this a surprise to you? Why has no other form of media ever explained that to you? The motorsport press, Sky Sports F1 have never explained this to you. The BBC, their correspondent, their chief, Andrew Benson, has never explained this to you. Autosport, Motorsport, every newspaper, every news outlet, nobody's ever explained that to you. Why? That is a serious question. Why are they not explaining the basics of the sport to you? And instead, we get the narrative, which was the lies that they told you. Now, at the end of this video, there will be something for you to click on, which proves the data as to how long this sort of incident takes to clear up. It takes, on average, around 5.5 laps before you can resume racing. At this moment in time, Lewis Hamilton has only got 5.4 laps of this Grand Prix remaining before he becomes a world champion, an 8-time world champion. And when the data says when incidents like this happen, it takes at least 5.5 laps before racing can resume, that means that racing is not scheduled to resume until they're on to lap 59. It's only a 58-lap race, so this race is scheduled to finish behind the safety car. The data will say that now. From this moment in time, this is a known thing. But the sport, or is it the show, tells you this.
I think that is at turn 14, where we saw Kimi Raikkonen, and I think that is at turn 14, where we saw Kimi Raikkonen crash in practice. It is at turn 14, and yes, that will be a safety car, because marshals are going to need to recover that Williams and to work on it, and this now completely changes the context of this race if they can clear the Williams in time and we can have a couple of laps racing.
If we can have a couple of laps racing. Look where Lewis Hamilton is now. He's very close to completing his lap 53, which means he's got 5 laps to do beyond this one. We know that it takes on average 5.5 laps. He's just said if we get a couple of laps remaining racing.
To the checkered flag.
There's bound to be a couple of...
There's not bound to be a couple. Check the video out at the end. There's not bound to be a couple at all. But look what you are being told by the sports experts, the presented experts who have commentated on this sport for decades, that have commentated on this sport since 2012 when the rules changed, 199 Grand Prix under these rules and regulations that they have commentated on, and they know the duration of these incidents.
That's where Max Verstappen's much fresher tyres will fire up and give him the confidence on any kind of restart. It depends how...
Straight away, we are diverting your attention to the notion of tyres. At the moment, they are both on hard compound tyres.
there will be, I'm pretty sure, on lap 52.
53, Hamilton's now. You can look at Hamilton's dot. Hamilton's on lap 54.
Obviously, because of the slow pace with 5 to go, that they'll probably have a lap or two.
They will probably have a lap or two. How many times do they need to condition your mind that is what you are likely to see? The data does not reflect that at all.
As long as they get it, if they get a vehicle on there and get that out of the way.
And coming into the pits, Max Verstappen. Hamilton stays out. Verstappen coming into the pits, and I would imagine there's a set of soft tyres waiting for him to go onto that Red Bull car. Yes, it is.
I can't box.
Negative.
Right, so if there is a restart.
F1 TV, the people that are in charge of piecing this footage together, choosing which radio broadcasts to broadcast to the world. They have chosen this to pick this out to play to the world. It's creating the narrative.
Verstappen now has fresh soft tyres. Lewis has heavily used hard compound tyres. They will let any lap runners through.
The specific choice of the word "any lap runners through"
on the safety car restart, and he will presumably
safety car restart. Data 5.5 laps. Any lap runners through. Safety car restart. Mind conditioning. Drip, drip, drip.
Well, they had nothing to do. Once again,
Red Bull had nothing to lose. Let's see how many times we hear all these little things repeated. Drip, drip, drip. The show.
Red Bull had nothing to lose here.
They have nothing to lose. Hamilton is a long way clear as Perez also pits, as we can see, and there's quite a few coming into the pits. Hamilton's a long way clear on the track, but I rather get the feeling by the time he comes around to the main straight, he's not going to be able to pit and stay ahead of Max Verstappen. That chance wasn't there or has gone by for Mercedes.
Verstappen tucked up behind Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin there.
But he won't be on the restart.
But he won't be on the restart. Do we know that it's going to restart? The data wouldn't say so, but he won't be on the restart. Drip, drip, drip.
That's unbelievable.
Wow.
So look, we're on lap 54 of 58 here. They've got to clear that debris away, and the fire extinguishers have obviously gone off because the brakes, I'm sure, were getting very, very hot. But they've also got to let the lapped cars unlap themselves. Just at the back of my mind, I wonder if we're going to get any racing laps in this race.
Okay, so what we do explain the reality, but then we oppose that with your fakeness. So we acknowledge that, oh yeah, there will be people that know reality, so we'll acknowledge that reality, but we'll also hype the shit out of everything to fulfill the narrative that we're being paid to present.
Wait and see. This is what happened to Nicholas Latifi. He was scrapping away with Mick Schumacher.
That's not the corner he crashed on, is it?
That was earlier on, I think, in the...
Throughout all of this, I can't show you the main feed. I can't show you what they were showing us all live. They will block it on copyright. But they did not show you the state of the clear-up operation at turn 14, so that you, the viewer, could see with your own eyes what was going on and the likelihood of that being cleared in time, so that those lapped runners could be released prior to the end of lap 56. They had to be released prior to the end of lap 56 so that lap 57 could be that mandatory safety car lap. That would be the only way that lap 58 could be a racing lap. And were those lap runners not able to be released by the end of lap 56, it dictated that this race ended under the safety car, hence providing Lewis Hamilton stayed on track, didn't suffer a mechanical failure, he would become a record-breaking 8-time world champion. These are simple facts that were never conveyed to you, the viewer. Why?
In the skirmish with Schumacher, they barged wheels, went off the track, would have picked up a bit of dust and debris on his tyres, and then the rear just lets go.
Probably dirty tyres from being offline there. Will we get any more racing laps or not? What jeopardy at the end of this Grand Prix, the end of this World Championship. Will there be any more racing laps?
The data would say no, Martin. The data would say, well, it takes about 5.5 laps to resume racing, and there were only 5.4 laps left. So it's unlikely.
There are, then Verstappen has got the tyres to really do something with them. Will they let the lap runners through?
Well, they all...
Why are we asking the question, Martin? Because the regulations dictate that you must. You're not allowed to resume racing with the lapped cars in situ, yet you'll continually present that lie. And that lie gets echoed by every single media outlet. No motorsports journalist has ever countered that. That is the basic rule of the sport for specific reasons that nobody has ever revealed. In a sport, do the basic rules of the sport get explained to you, the viewer? Why is that not the case in the show of Formula One? Why are they lying, pretending, oh, you don't have to release the lapped cars? Well, you do, because there's clear problems if you don't. Lando Norris gets left a lap behind Pierre Gasly if you don't release him and give him that lap to catch Gasly, when previously Norris was closer to Gasly than Verstappen was to Hamilton. You leave lap runners in the way. Carlos Sainz doesn't get the chance of challenging for second position in that race, which is what happened. Whereas you've cleared them out of the way of Max Verstappen, so Max can be right in the back of Lewis. You've not cleared them out of the way of Carlos Sainz so that Carlos Sainz can be on the back of Max Verstappen. These are all factors that nobody mentions. We all just comply with the narrative of the show.
Always do let the lap runners through, and in between Hamilton and Verstappen.
We always do let the lap runners through because that's what the rules are. Oh, yeah, they just tend to do that, don't they, Crofty? But in between Hamilton and Verstappen, there's just these 5 cars that I'm going to draw your attention to now. I'm only going to draw your attention to 5 of the 8. I won't mention the other 3, ever.
Norris, Alonso, Ocon, Leclerc and Vettel.
Yes, but if they do that, it extends the safety car period.
But that...
It doesn't extend it, Martin. That is just the safety car period. That is what needs to happen before you're allowed to go racing. It's not an extension of anything. And you didn't mention Ricciardo, Stroll and Mick Schumacher. They're still in that list of competitors that are in that race.
That's what they always do. Take the lap runners out of the way so they're not interfering in play.
No, it's not taking them out of the way. Lando Norris, the orange dot behind Hamilton's lead dot, he was closer to this grey dot of Pierre Gasly down here at turn 9. Right, he was closer to Gasly than Verstappen was to Hamilton. Look where he is now. You can't let him lose that amount of ground just due to Latifi crashing. It's not to get him out of the way of Verstappen being able to challenge Hamilton. It's to restore sporting fairness to his race as well.
What's the situation behind me?
So, situation is, Verstappen has pitted. He had a free pit stop. We would have lost track position to him. 4 laps remaining when you cross the line. So this field has to bunch, and then they have to send lap cars through. So it may not restart.
Is he right behind me?
He will be, once they've sorted out all the order. This is going to take a while to sort out.
It might be one.
With new tyres.
Copy, Lewis. We would have lost track position if we had pitted.
And that was the big key here. Mercedes, for the second time, keeping Lewis Hamilton out, whilst Max Verstappen pitted. Red Bull had nothing to lose.
Red Bull had nothing to lose again. Red Bull had nothing to lose. Red Bull had nothing to lose. Drip, drip, drip.
Hamilton potentially losing track position, and in this case, if we don't go racing again because you can't overtake under the safety car, he would have lost the World Championship.
Drip that into your mind as well. Hamilton will have lost the World Championship. Well, the scenario you just proposed didn't happen. He's in the lead of a safety car situation that should end in a safety car situation. That means he will be world champion. But you spin that round and present it the opposite to that. Why do you do that?
Is there a vehicle pulling the Williams out of the way or not yet?
Well, the simple answer to that is show us the camera at turn 14, F1 TV. Show us. Show the world what's happening at turn 14. Show us all how long that is going to take, whether or not it's possible to resume racing or not. Instead, you don't do that. You show us replays, you show us cutting to the pits, you interject with radio messages which are not in accordance with the rules of the sport. You got Brundle and Crofty making up scenarios. Oh, but that's what they always do. But that elongates the safety car period. Lies.
Can't see it at the moment. Ted, down to you.
Yeah,
They can't see. Oh, we've seen your little commentary booth. Well, you've got a few TV monitors in there. Surely you can make them go, show us this because we're commentating here. We need this information to talk to the global audience about what is going on. So provide us with what we need to see to be able to talk about that.
A load of other people pitting: Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, Daniel Ricciardo. We've had Lance Stroll as well into the pits. I'll give you those orders as they shake out. But yeah, it was just bad luck. I mean, you saw the Mercedes mechanics just hanging around outside the pits looking at whether they had the order to come in. But Hamilton was so close to the pit entrance that it does seem that the engineer's right there. Whatever they would have done, they would have lost track position.
Thanks for that, Ted. Any closer to showing us what's going on at turn 14? Oh, you still not got that footage. Oh, thanks for that.
The safety car's not going full gas down the straight.
Copy, Lewis, understood.
His tyres are cooling. He needs more pace, more heat into those tyres.
No. The heat into the tyres is not the problem because they can heat the tyres up within a lap. All right? Not a problem. And we're not even close to that because you've not bunched the pack yet and you've not released those lapped cars. That all needs to happen, and during that period, he can then begin his weaving and warm the tyres up. So the issue of the tyres getting cold at this stage is not the main problem. The problem is this seems to be happening really slow to try to artificially manufacture a racing lap rather than allow this situation to play out organically.
This is awful for Lewis then with those hard compound heavily used tyres. So there's the shunt then that caused there has to be a safety car there. And
oh, another replay. We're going by turn 14 now, but you're not showing us what's happening on track when the safety car snake is going past turn 14. You're showing us a replay.
But will they let the lap runners through?
Why are you asking the world whether they will or not, Martin, when the rules dictate that you have to do that before you can go racing? But you're asking the world, oh, are they going to do this? Are they going to freestyle the regulations and do something they're not allowed to do? The sports expert presenting to the world a scenario that's not allowed to take place, and the alarm bells aren't ringing here.
I don't think it's absolutely mandatory.
Yes, it is. Where in the regulations, does it say optional regulations? I will tell you it doesn't, because it's not optional. As soon as the race director has used his overriding authority, and that is he's selected to use the safety car to deal with a safety incident, as soon as you do that, you carry out those procedures relating to the safety car. They're not optional. Simple.
But that's normally on a wet day that they don't.
Gaslighting. Oh, let's divert people. Let's confuse people. Let's get people to question their own understanding. Oh, maybe Martin knows more than the rest of us. Martin's a former driver. Martin's been commentating on this sport for 28 years. Martin will know. So when we present Martin as the expert, he can lie to people and he will make people believe.
And if so, how long will they wait for those lap cars to get out of the way? If they wait...
It's a mandatory safety car lap as dictated in the regulations, Martin. Why are you asking the watching audience how long will they wait when we know what that is? when the regulations state once the last lapped car has passed the leader and the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. But you're asking, how long will they wait? Well, you know what them regulations state. You've witnessed it so many times. You've actually witnessed it under Massey 4 times, where he's actually kept the safety car on track for a further lap to make sure those release cars fully caught the back of the pack. And you've witnessed that, but you're asking the world, you're asking the watching audience, how long will they wait? Now it's strange that the commentator is asking the audience as opposed to telling the audience. Is this a sport or is it a show?
For them to catch the pack up, which they don't have to do,
no.
Then I don't think we'll get a racing lap. If they let them through, we could get 1 racing lap.
3 laps to go. Nicholas Latifi is seemingly okay after that contact with the barriers, around about 90 miles an hour.
So 3 laps to go, which means the lapped cars have to be released by the end of this lap. Then lap 57 can be that mandatory safety car lap, and then it can be a racing lap on lap 58. If those lapped cars cannot be released this lap, this race will end as a safety car finish. And providing Lewis Hamilton does not crash out, he will become an 8-time world champion. They're the facts. Let's see if the world's commentary team, the Sky Sports F1, the global orchestrated show of Formula One, can tell the global audience about this. Let's see what they can tell us.
But he would have taken a whack, and it's good to see that he's okay. Sergio Perez coming into the pits again.
So Max,
I think they're retiring the car here. Perez into the pits for the 4th time. I didn't understand why, but I think they are retiring the car, and yes, they're not going to be working on it, and that is the end of Sergio Perez's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Checo, we need to retire the car. We need to retire the car. Box.
And for the
really? Yeah, box.
That means Mercedes are Constructors' champions, because the race started with Mercedes in the lead by 28 points. If you've only got 1 competitor, the maximum you can get is 26 points. So Red Bull will not overturn a 28-point deficit with just 1 car. So the moment they retire 1 car is the moment they cannot do that. So Mercedes became Constructors' champions the moment Perez retired.
And lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Why is that? That would be because the track isn't safe. You don't make the announcement, lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake, because that is not a decision. Okay? You keep lapping until it is safe. If it turns out it's not safe, you don't do it. It's not a case of, oh, we're going to restart with lapped cars in situ. That's not an option. That's not in the regulations, but they've normalised that. F1 TV shows you a banner over the top of the screen. That's not normal. That's not an FIA regulation. That's not a standard banner.
It's not mandatory in the regulations.
Yes, it is, Martin. There's no optional section.
Which leaves Verstappen with a lot of work to do.
That is a fictitious scenario, which leaves Verstappen with a lot of work to do. You can't go racing with 5 lapped cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen and Ricciardo and Stroll and Mick Schumacher in that race order like that. You can't do so. Look at Norris's orange dot behind Hamilton. Look at where Gasly is now, catching the back of the pack. Look how much Norris has lost out to Gasly. You can't do that. Not allowed. You can't resume racing with lapped cars in situ.
Then.
So Mercedes will be Constructors' champions at the end of this race as it stands at the moment.
Nothing to do with as it stands at the moment. They are the moment Perez retired.
Assuming that Hamilton and Bottas finish this race.
No, they are anyway. Even if they both crashed out and Verstappen won with the fastest lap, Red Bull will still be 2 points behind.
The Drivers' Championship, though, is very much up for grabs. The lapped car...
Why? It's not very much up for grabs, because unless the lapped cars are released on this lap, it's a safety car finish. So how is it very much up for grabs?
Cars won't be allowed to overtake, which means that there are plenty...
Doesn't mean anything other than, well, the lapped cars can't be released yet, which means the track is not safe to release them, which means they need to continue lapping behind the safety car until it is safe. And if it's not safe to release them by the end of this lap, then it means that this race will end behind the safety car. That's all it means.
Plenty of cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen for Verstappen to fight his way through. Norris along...
It doesn't mean that. That's a scenario that's not possible.
And also Ocon and Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel.
None of which are for position, of course.
No.
They're obliged to get out of the way.
Look at them carrying on the narrative. Carrying on with extrapolating the storyline to make it sound authentic. Oh, look at the impact on these drivers' race. Well, you followed up this little route down that's not even possible. Let's draw a line under that, guys, because you're talking shit. That's not within the rules of the sport. But this is what you're paid to present, to convince people of the narrative.
But Lewis will be long down the road.
That I suppose is the compromise that race control have made here.
I suppose this is the compromise that the referee is doing. He's breaking the rules of the sport to facilitate something. This is what you've surmised, is it, Crofty? The commentator of the sport? Oh, I think that the referee's just about to break the rules to facilitate this. Strange that you should think that, isn't it?
By giving the best possible chance for racing to the finish rather than finishing behind the safety car, they've decided the lap cars will stay...
No. It's a sport. You can't freestyle something to manufacture an ending. That's not what you do. That's not allowed. What you're doing, you're manipulating an outcome in a sport, and therefore you are conducting yourself fraudulently. Not only that, you're doing so with knowing what you are going to produce. You are going to then set something up that's not in accordance with the rules, knowing the conditions of what it is you're setting up. It's like in a football match, and the game is about to end, and one team is 1-0 up, and the referee's like, don't really want them to win. I don't really want them to win. And even though I know the team that's 1-0 up and they're down to 9 men because I've sent 2 of them off, I don't want them to win. I know I'll give the other team a penalty, so it sends it into extra time, and in extra time the team with 11 men's got a much better chance of beating them, hasn't it? Yeah. That's cheating. That's cheating. That's manipulating an outcome, isn't it? This is what you're doing, and this is the sport using its commentators to condition the global audience as if this is normal, this is authentic. This isn't normal, it's not authentic, and they've conditioned the minds to believe this along the way. This does not happen organically. This is contrived.
Where they are.
Cancel that. Lap cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Yeah, of course. Typical decision.
It's classic.
I'm not surprised.
F1 TV have chosen to broadcast that to the world to make you all feel sorry for Max Verstappen. This is typical. I'm not surprised that they've made it difficult for us, making it so hard that we have to battle our way through these 5 cars before we get a chance to battle Hamilton. Well, number one, that's not allowed. That's not in the rules of the sport. That message took place between, well, about turn 5 and turn 6, going down that straight, but F1 TV have chosen to pick that out, to condense it down, and to play it to you, the global audience. Now, narrative. Drip that into your head. Keep you disorientated. Are we going to see any racing? Oh, but if we do, Max has got to make his way through these 5 cars. Oh, they feel they're being hard done by that because this isn't normal. No, it's not normal, is it? Oh, keep people guessing. Could it be this? Could it be that? What can happen? Nobody knows. It's Formula One. Anything can happen. No, that's not a sport then, is it? It's not a sport. Because sports have to be conducted within set parameters, i.e. the rules and regulations of that sport. Or is it a show?
Well, I'll try and look at this objectively. We should get 1 lap of racing here. If we allow...
How would we get 1 lap of racing? So between now and the checkered flag, the lapped runners need releasing, so that the lap 57 can be that lap given to those released cars to try to make it to the back of the pack. So between now and where this checkered flag is, the 8 cars need releasing. But Crofty, our global commentator here, is being objective.
Allowed the lap cars to overtake, we'd have no laps of racing to the checkered flag.
Which means what? A safety car finish, and Lewis Hamilton becomes a record-breaking 8-time world champion. Maybe I've jumped in. Maybe he was just about to tell you that Lewis Hamilton is on the verge of becoming an 8-time world champion.
So what do Red Bull want? And Max Verstappen...
Oh, no, we want to know what Red Bull want. Okay. But what do Manchester City want? Do they want to be given the league title, or do they want us to play by the rules? Is that what you hear a football commentator say?
And Giampiero Lambiase as race engineer, do they want the chance, or do they want to finish behind the safety car with no overtaking? Because I think that is the decision that has come from race control.
It's amazing that a commentator can predict, I think that's the decision that the referee is making here. Do we want to play by the rules, or do we want to give Manchester City the chance of winning the title by breaking the rules? Because I think that's the best chance of them winning. Is that authentic commentary? Is that authentic commentary? Or is that commentators being paid to convince you of a bullshit narrative because the show is fucking fixed? Let me know what you think in the comments section.
And personally, this is the decision that gives them the best chance if they want it.
Yeah.
So we're now on lap 57. This means it's a safety car finish because the lapped cars were not released on lap 56. So if they're released on this lap, then the following lap has to be the safety car lap, and then racing can't resume until they cross the start-finish line, and that is the start of lap 59. So it's the safety car finish. So we know it's going to be a safety car finish, which just starting lap 57, but the sports experts don't know it's going to be a safety car finish. We know what the rules of the sport are. We know that the lapped cars have to be released by the end of lap 56. That way lap 57 can be that mandatory safety car lap, and then they can go racing again for lap 58. As lapped cars were not released by the end of lap 56, then the earliest they can be released is lap 57, which means lap 58 is that mandatory safety car lap, which means they can't go racing until they've crossed the start-finish line at the end of lap 58, but that's the end of the race, so it's a safety car finish. And providing Hamilton doesn't break down or suffer a blowout, is a record-breaking 8-time world champion. We're all clear about that now, because the sports commentators can't articulate that to you clearly. It takes me being able to do that. Andrew Benson of the BBC can't articulate that to you clearly. It takes me to do that. Autosport, motorsport, every journalist working in Formula One can't articulate that quite clearly. Every YouTuber that's set up with a YouTube channel with 1 million subscribers can't tell you that. And yet, simple clarification of the rules, simple understanding and analysis of those rules dictate that. If nobody can explain that to you, right? What's going on? Is it a sport or is it a show? Is it a sport or is it a show? But the experts, this is what the experts will tell you.
I mean, the regulation, as I said, they may allow the lap cars through. It's not mandatory.
I think the regulation is that they may. You're stuttering a bit there, Martin, because you're lying. The regulation is, as it says in 48.12, once the last lap car has passed the leader and the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. The regulation doesn't say optional regulation. They may on a wet day in Spa, because that's all bullshit. That's shit that you're making up. You can't go racing without carrying out that mandatory procedure.
Mandatory, to point it out, but as you point out, Crofty, there'd be no racing laps if they let the lap cars through.
So that's called a safety car finish. And ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing history. You are witnessing a man become a record-breaking 8-time world champion. You're witnessing history.
Because I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap and there will be one racing lap.
What makes you think that? That's not within the rules. So why would you think that the rules are going to be broken to make that happen? That's rather a strange prediction, that you think that that's going to happen before the race director makes a mistake and makes that happen. It's rather strange, that is, Martin, that you've got a crystal ball and you're able to see that. Crazy shit.
They'll all get blue flags, I would imagine.
Once again, embellishing the bullshit. Oh, yeah. We'll embellish the story with the notion of, oh, those Fat Five cars in between, they'll get the blue flag, so they'll have to move out the way and part like the Red Sea to allow Max Verstappen through. Well, they all do that anyway, whether they're lapped or not. They just wave Max by. But anyway.
Christian and Michael.
Yes, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, why aren't we getting these lap cars out of the way?
So when did this message take place? Because we know that F1 TV will take the recording and then they'll pick and choose what to play to the global audience. You know, they won't play it live because they don't, you know, just in case somebody says fuck. They don't want anyone to say naughty words on the global TV. So it's not live. There's a few second lag and they'll decide what to play you. So this message has taken place and they've picked it out and now they're playing it to you. Why are they playing it to you? Because they want you to believe something. They are creating a narrative for you to believe the chain
events. They're conditioning your fucking mind.
Give me, well, because Christian, just give me a second. Okay, my big one is to get this incident clear.
You only need one racing lap.
Yeah, that's right. We only need one racing lap. This is what drip, 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 drip. Red Bull did nothing wrong. Red Bull had nothing to lose. I don't think it's mandatory. That's what they normally do on a wet day. Bullshit. Bullshit. The whole thing is a contrived bullshit shit show.
Well, I assume Christian's talking about then, you know, getting the lap cars out of the way, not clearing the incidents away.
Yeah, I mean,
not clearing the incident away. No, let's just leave the incident where it is. Let's leave the incident where it is, and let's just have them racing around with shit on the track. That's safe, isn't it? You don't make your assumptions there, Crofty, because those are wrong assumptions. Making a fool out of yourself.
All of the cars in front of Max will get blue flags, and
oh yeah, let's embellish that again. Let's feed them that bullshit again. Oh, the blue flag notion. That's not possible. and not in the regulations. But we'll keep saying it and people will believe it.
Duty bound to get out of the way, but they're all in a reasonable fight themselves, aren't they?
Well, they're all in a reasonable fight themselves, aren't they? But apart from Norris, who was trying to fight Gasly, who now can't, which is why you can't start racing like this again. See where Norris is, see where Gasly is, and Norris was closer to Gasly than strap-on was to Hamilton. Oh yeah, that would be the reason why you can't start racing like this. But nobody's told you that. That's strange, isn't it?
So here we go. Normally, you know, you'd see the race leader backing up the pack a little bit when the safety...
Normally, you'd see the lapped cars released and then a further lap completed by the safety car before we get any chance of racing. That's what normally happens. We're on lap 57. We've got half a lap to go. Yep. And then the final lap. The lapped cars haven't been released. So even if they're released now, we have to do a further lap behind the safety car. It's a safety car finish. Simple.
Car goes. I would imagine on this occasion, if we do get a lap, Martin, Hamilton will want to be disappearing off.
I imagine if we do get a lap, well, how on earth would we get a lap? How on earth would we get a lap? Because you can't resume racing with lapped cars in situ.
The distance as fast as he can.
Yeah. But look at what you're presenting. Again, you've continually presented the notion of a racing lap. Oh, there's bound to be a couple. Oh, there's bound to be a couple. Oh, do they have to release the lapped cars? I don't think it's mandatory. Oh, how long will they wait? Oh, there's always going to be a racing lap. There's always going to be a racing lap. There's always going to be a... No, no, no. Not if the rules do not allow a racing lap. When have you told us that? You haven't, have you? What are you being paid to present? You're being paid to condition the minds that don't understand the sport of the narrative of what this show wanted to create. That's a simple fact of it. That's the simple fact of it.
I don't see any way Verstappen can do anything with that, but indeed.
Oh, poor Max again. I don't think Max can do anything with that. Well, no, you can't because it's not within the rules of the sport.
It is the safety car coming in this lap. We think it should do, could do.
Is the safety car coming in this lap? We think it could do, should. Why on earth would the safety car come in this lap? You've not carried out the safety car procedures. Is the track safe? We don't know that yet because the safety car, the clerk of the course needs to declare that track as being safe. Once he's done so, then those lapped cars can be released and then the safety car can come in at the end of the following lap. But you're asking us, is it going to come in at the end of this lap? We think it could do, should do. What on earth would make you think that it could do, should do? Because the regulations do not permit that. But you, the commentators, are saying that you think it could do, should do. And this is before Michael Massey has made his error. Michael Massey has not even made his error yet. And you think it could do, should do. You think he's going to make this error before he makes the error. That's a bit strange, isn't it? What the fuck is going on?
Is there any more debris to clear up? But we're halfway.
We think the safety car could come in this lap. We think it could do, should do. Is there any more debris to clear up? So you're thinking that the safety car can come into the pits and you're then proposing, oh, well, we think it's going to come in, but there might be some more debris to clear up. How ridiculous. How ridiculous is that?
Around already.
Race control are now saying lapped cars to overtake the safety car. So Norris and Alonso and Ocon and Leclerc and Vettel to overtake it.
So there's the 5 again. That's the third time he's listed the 5. And it's ending and it's ending. Wow. But you thought it could do, should do. What about the debris that still could be on track, Martin? Wow.
It's ending. Wow.
My God.
And they're straight there with Toto. F1 TV have got that queued up, haven't they? Michael! Because, you know, you're not going to play that live just in case Toto says fuck.
So
that's called the creation of a narrative. This is this perfect compilation of feeding in clip after clip after clip. Smooth, seamless. The show of Formula One. That's how they contrived the fix. That's how they got away with convincing the masses of that fraudulent fucking fix. And I'm not going to stop until this is exposed to the world. So please share this. Strap on, fanboys. Please continue to comment. It helps the algorithm. The number of comments that you make help get this video seen by an even bigger audience that I'm sure you want them to see this, because it exposes the fact that your favourite is a fraud. He's been manufactured as this great of the sport, a manufactured champion, and he's not. It's a shit show, and they've lied to you all, and they've made billions out of it, and they need taking down. Thank you for your time. Until next time.